and how are you going to do it, right? So we've divided the session into these three simple, very basic questions, just to try to understand why is data engineering required, right? What does it, or how does it help us, as a professional, right? Why you have to, uh, if you already have a bit of an experience in the data industry, why data engineering is going to be optimal for you. If you do not know why cloud technologies are important, we'll discuss on that as well, right? Why to go for Azure data engineering? Why not just data engineering, right? So we'll be discussing on all of these aspects. And before I get into it, a little bit about myself. So yeah, let me slide. Yeah. So as you can see, I am a Microsoft certified trainer, also known as an MCT. I hold, 12 Azure subscription. I got my 12th one, last week itself, which is AB 730. I hold 12 Azure certifications. I hold 2 Databricks certifications as well. Apart from this, I hold GitHub certifications, OpenShift, Red Hat, but they're not necessary for this particular session that we are having today. And I've been teaching for past 7 years, right? More than 7 years actually. And I've trained more than 80,000 associates, right? I've conducted more than 200 trainings, and have conducted these trainings for more than 15 organizations now, 15 and counting, right? So that is a short description about how many trainings I've conducted, how I've conducted those trainings. Now, before we get into the discussion, some of the things Nitya already discussed with you. She already informed as to what the outline of this session is going to be. So I'll just uh, quickly give you a walkthrough of that as well again, right? So we are going to have around 40 days of learning. It may extend beyond 40. It will not be less than 40 for sure. It may extend beyond 40 days, depending on, how the class operates, because, sometimes we do get students where we have a lot of questions in the class. So our speeds then slows down a bit, but it's actually very informative for everybody else, because when there are a lot of doubts, when there are a lot of questions, yes, it does slows down the class, but then it helps you a lot, right? It helps you to understand the concepts. Sometimes there are doubts that many people would have in the class, but only a few have the courage to come to the center stage and ask. So that is going to be there. So 40 days, it's going to be there, maybe more than that, depending on the interactivity of the class. Monday to Friday, 5 days a week, we'll be having these sessions. 1 hour, 15 minutes per day, may extend, plus minus 10 minutes here and there. But essentially 1 hour will be there. And then depending on the topic that we are on, and, if there is something urgent to complete, we may extend to some 10, 15 minutes. The timing for the session, I'll be able to tell you in the Indian standard timings. You may convert it into your local timings as well. So in the Indian standard timing, IST, we are going to have it from 8 to 9:15. All right, every day, 8 to 9:15 p.m. All right, so in the night, we'll have it from 8 o'clock to 9:15 p.m. Every day, we'll be having doubt clearing sessions as well, 5-10 minutes, after the class, post the class. If you have any doubts that you may have to ask, you can go ahead. We'll be sharing topic-wise structured documentation for every topic that we cover, and topic-wise hands-on labs for practice as well. All right, so you'll get labs for everything that we are going to do. This is going to be a hands-on heavy session that we are going to have, right? Obviously, we'll discuss theory as well. We'll try to break down the difficult concepts as well, make them easy for you to understand, make you understand first of all why it is required, right? Because what I've seen is the biggest challenge that people face, right? If you just throw some technical terms at them, they may not understand, right? So it's better to explain it with a journey, right? So, for example, if we talk about big data, right? Now, if you just directly jump onto Databricks, and I just keep telling you that this is what it does. It introduces the lakehouse architecture, right? It helps you create pipelines, jobs, everything. You may not be able to comprehend what or the importance of Databricks, you may not be able to understand that. The reason being because I did not tell you what existed before Databricks, right? That is your plain Apache Spark. What existed before Apache Spark? That is your Hadoop, right? And what existed before Hadoop? The moment I go to that point where I tell you how initially it started, what was the problem, why was Hadoop required, how Hadoop changed the world, but then obviously Hadoop would have also had some shortcomings, right? The map reduce functions, the over dependency on a very complex programming language. So then Apache Spark was created, right? Then Apache Spark also must have had some problems, not problems exactly, but certain limitations for which Databricks was created, right? So it all, revolves around the concept of distributed computing. But then these are different tools, and each tool, uh, improves upon the performance as well as some of the features from the previous version. Not the version, but the predecessor, whatever it was, whether it was Hadoop or Apache Spark or Databricks, right? And nobody knows 10 years from now, 5 years from now, we'll be talking about some other tool than Databricks and discussing, the problems that existed with Databricks. So we had to move on to a new platform. So that is always going to be there. And that is how we're going to study it, right? In every topic, we are going to have the hands-on practical sessions. We'll be doing it in the class, and a lab guide will also be shared with all the participants so that you can practice on your own as well, right? Towards the end of the session, we have two end-to-end data engineering projects that would be, using a lot of different services, essentially that we'll be discussing over the course of next, 40 work days that we're going to spend together. We'll be sharing topic-wise interview questions. These are the latest interview questions collected from the students, collected from the interviewers as well, right? As to what they're asking, how is it going on now? And we'll be sharing some industry aligned sample resumes with you so that you can, uh, align your resume with some and, use the best practices and put in the relevant information that the companies are now looking forward to or looking for in the candidate. Next, once this is clear, these are broadly the topics that we are going to cover. Now, don't think that these are the only 8 topics that we are going to discuss, because within these topics, we have a lot of subtopics, right? Now, my assumption for all of you present in this class today is that you have zero idea about cloud computing. You have absolutely no understanding of what Azure is. You've never ever heard the term Azure, right? Or even AWS or GCP or anything, right? You're absolutely new to the cloud. That is the level from which we are going to begin this session, right? So don't think that if I have mentioned that this is Azure data engineering, then Azure is a prerequisite. No, for this particular course, only two things are prerequisites. One is, basic to moderate level of understanding of SQL and basic level understanding of Python. When I say basic, we'll talk about Python in a bit, right? So we start with the fundamentals of Azure. We start with the absolute foundations of Azure, right? So this is where we'll be, covering the topic called AZ 900. If you've not already, heard about it, that is called the Azure Fundamental Certification Exam, right? So this particular section will build your, experience or understanding in the foundations of cloud computing, specifically Azure cloud computing, right? Because different companies, whether it's AWS or GCP, they have their own nomenclature, right, for different services. For example, in Azure, a virtual machine is called as a virtual machine, whereas in AWS it's called as EC2, right? Elastic Compute 2. Similarly, storage services within Azure will have a different name. A data warehouse in Azure is called as Synapse, right? In AWS it will have a different name, but the core capability is the same. It's a data warehouse, right? A SQL database within Azure will have a different name. Within some other cloud, it will have a different name, but the functionality is very clear, right? It is going to work as a database, right? And then some features here and there. So that is something that makes it cloud specific. Then once we are done with the fundamentals of Azure, once you build the base on Azure, we will start talking about two of the core technologies or services that you're going to work with. All right. As a data engineer, you are going to heavily rely on Azure storage, which offers you two different types of storages. One is your normal Azure blob storage, and the other one is a data lake, right? I'm sure many of you would have heard about data lakes by now, but what is a data lake? Why was it needed, right? And how does Azure implement it? Those questions we'll answer during this Azure storage section. Then we'll talk about different types of databases on Azure, right? Whether it's a Microsoft SQL Server on Azure, or it's a MySQL database on Azure, or whether it's a Cosmos DB on Azure. Those three different types of databases we'll try and cover here. Not try and cover, we'll basically cover here. The reason being, I want to make you familiar with all the different options available to store data, right? Once you are familiar with storing data, fetching and storing will become easier when you're working with different data pipelines and different data services, right? So that is why our focus will also be on the storage and the database services. Then we'll start with the core tools that are required, all right, to become a successful data engineer in Azure. Azure Synapse Analytics is one of the most important services that you should know, right? Synapse Analytics is an umbrella term. It's not a single service which you get within it. It hosts your SQL pool. It hosts your Spark pool. You can create pipeline also with Synapse. All right. So earlier in Azure, we used to have a separate Azure data warehouse, but then it was moved into this umbrella term of Synapse Analytics, where we get different options, right? So it's a data analytics, data integration, data movement, right? Whatever you want to say, Synapse is an all-rounder. It can help you process data using the distributed computing of Spark, right? It can help you with SQL data transformation using a data warehouse and a SQL pool, and it can help you build your no code low code pipelines as well. Then we come to Azure Data Factory, the second important tool that we are going to discuss. Now again, Data Factory is also one of those tools which is very high in demand. Many organizations, many job openings you will see will have Azure Data Factory clearly mentioned there. Azure Data Factory is one service where we learn how to create pipelines. All right. The most important part of this entire particular service is that you learn how to create pipelines, right? You learn how to create data flows. And from within those pipelines, within those data flows, how do you execute or transform your data? How do you execute your notebooks present in Databricks, right? And there are a lot of topics that we're going to cover under Data Factory, because it's a single service, but then it has a lot of implementations, a lot of different abilities and things that it can do for you. Once you're done with batch processing of data through Synapse and Data Factory, we move toward processing streaming data, right? So when I say stream analytics, I'm not just going to teach you how to process streaming data. We are also going to learn what services within Azure helps you manage streaming data, right? So for example, event hubs. So Azure has something called as event hubs. That is also a keyword that you will find in majority of the job openings present on Azure Data Engineering, right? They'll ask you event hubs, you should know, stream analytics, you should know. So we'll be processing data using stream analytics. Then, as I said, you should have a basic understanding of Python, right? So at the beginning of the session itself, we'll give you some of the Python tutorials that you can go through in your free time and get a basic level of understanding, right? When I say basic level of understanding, the tutorial would be around 7 to 8 hours worth of tutorial that you have to watch in, let's say, around 30 days. All right. So around 28, 30 days is when we, 25, 28 days is when we end up with the stream analytics service. And then Python PySpark starts. So from beginning of the session, you have almost 1 month of time to complete, this 7 hours of learning. So even 20 minutes, 30 minutes you're giving every day, you will be able to complete Python, at least basic level of Python. PySpark, I will start with scratch, right? PySpark is a very high in demand language for data engineers and data analysts. All right. I'm pretty sure most of you would be already aware of it. right? PySpark developer, PySpark as a language you should understand, right? Now, PySpark is a language that helps you work with the Spark. All right. It's basically Python plus Spark, hence PySpark. What is Spark? Spark is distributed data storage and distributed computing, right? So you're storing your data also in a distributed manner, and you're processing your data also in a distributed manner. The architecture that you implement to do this is your Spark, right? And to interact with that architecture, right, you should be able to talk to that architecture. Hence you need a language, right? If I have to talk to somebody, I need a language, right? uh, Basically it could be anything, right? If I want to talk to you, I'm talking in English, maybe some other language, I could use Hindi. Or if I cannot speak, then I'll use sign language, right? So there has to be some form of communication. So how do I as a developer tell Spark that this is how I want my data to be processed? I use PySpark. That is the language, the medium of conversation that I'm going to use between myself as a developer and the Spark architecture or the Spark infrastructure. Once you have the complete understanding of PySpark, we'll also see, the implementation of PySpark within Synapse. You can create basically a Spark infrastructure there as well, and process your data using PySpark. Then we move to Azure Databricks. And within Databricks, this is going to be the biggest section of our course, Azure Databricks, right? Very high in demand service, very vast service as well, a lot of different things it can do, right? Therefore, it will take majority of our time. When I say majority of our time, I'm not saying we'll be dividing time between different services, but this is by far the largest section that we are going to have in the course, right? We'll spend around, if not, at least 10 hours, 10 to 12, 13 hours we'll spend on Databricks, right? We'll start from very basics, how Databricks came into existence. Then we'll start, with working with Databricks. How do you connect to different data stores from Databricks, right? How do you transform your data? We'll see all different types of transformations as well over here, right? So that's a good part, where each and every single transformation, whether it's grouping of data, whether it's creating unions, whether it is selecting, whether it's a conditional statement, all of that we'll see separately within Databricks, right? Along with that, we'll see some core capabilities of Databricks also, such as the Delta Live tables or the Lakeflow declarative pipelines, as they have renamed it now, Lakeflow jobs, right, which were earlier Databricks jobs. So all these things we'll see, right? Once we are done with that, our session ends there, and we start with the hands-on project, the two projects that we have discussed, right? We start with that discussion, and the implementation files, the sample data sets, and everything will be shared with you. And throughout this course, right, for all the topics, whatever sample data sets are required for the labs will be shared to you, on a weekly or a daily basis. Each and every topic that we cover, whether it is storage, we have some 3 4 different labs on storages, where you learn from very basics of creating an Azure storage to the very advanced of creating a data lake itself and managing the data lake, right? Giving access to other users onto the data lake. So you are going to get a complete understanding. Now, why is this complete understanding required, right? Why not just tell you how to transform data? Why should I be telling you how do you create users, manage users? Why should I tell you governance, right? Why should I tell you monitoring? Why not just the process of transforming the data, right? So, to be very honest, and I'll tell you a very simple thing, we are not going to learn tools, right? And when I say that, don't think of it like a sales page, and definitely not as a beginner class. We have to have all of our sessions as a thinking sessions, right? Why? Because, see, most professionals today are not struggling due to lack of intelligence or efforts. Everybody is intelligent enough, everybody is putting in the efforts, right? Then why they're struggling, right? People are struggling because the world of technology has moved faster than the job titles, right? Think a moment about your own career, right? And I can tell you with experience, right? I worked with many professionals, and I can tell you with a lot of experience. 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 15 years ago, roles were very clear. If you were a developer, you were developing something. If you were a database administrator, you were working with the databases. You were a support engineer, you were a business analyst, you were a tester, you were a system administrator. Each role had certain boundaries, right? And the boundaries felt safe. You knew what was your task, what was not your task, right? You knew what you owned, you know what you were responsible for, and where your job ends, basically, right? That boundary was very clear. That clarity gave a lot of confidence also. But somewhere along the way, quietly, very quietly, without announcements, these boundaries have today started dissolving, right? And I'm sure all of you, and there won't be a single person who would disagree with me on this, right? That those boundaries have started to dissolve now. So applications have now moved to the cloud, systems have become distributed, users are becoming global, data, stopped sitting quietly in databases. Data has started flowing now. Data is into logs, events, transactions, APIs, sensor data, right? And decision making also changed, right? They stopped, discussing their data quarterly. They stopped discussing their data monthly, right? They became daily, they became hourly. Then they want to process their data in real time. And somewhere in this shift, something very important happened. That is, data is not a byproduct anymore. Data has become the backbone of the entire system, right? And the real problem is that the roles did not evolve at the same speed, right? Most professionals today, they're doing their jobs well, but the jobs themselves are slowly moving away from the center of value, right? There's a problem that nobody warned us about. All right, and you please listen to this very carefully, because this is not about job loss, this is about job relevance that we're going to discuss, right? Modern organizations today, they're not thinking in terms of applications alone or servers alone or databases alone, right? They don't want a separate team for reporting. They are thinking in terms of data flow, correct? They ask questions. They're asking questions like, where is our data coming from? Can we trust our data? One second. Just a second, guys. Yeah. Right. Just opening the whiteboard. So, as I said, the organizations are now today talking about the entire data flow, right? Sorry. Okay. It happened. All right. Right? They're asking questions. Where is the data coming from? Can we trust the data? Can we scale it? Is it secure? Can it be used for analytics, for AI? Right? AI is one term that has been added to the entire flow. Everybody needs to know about AI, right? Can we reduce the cost while increasing the speed? That is also a very valid question, to get asked a lot of time. And now, ask yourself very honestly, are these roles that I discussed about, right? Answering to such questions, are they owned by a single traditional role? No, right? They live between roles, and that is something which you saw with DevOps as well, right? They wanted to bring the developers and the operational people together, right? So that is going to happen in almost every sector, every industry, right? And whoever owns that space will own the influence as well. So if you're not a part of this conversation, right, you still work hard, but you slowly move to the edges of decision making. Uh, there's a structural shift there, right? So that is something that you have to keep in mind, because organizations are not organizations. Banks are not just banks. They're your real time risk engines, as we call it. Retail companies are not just selling their products. They are also playing the game of demand and prediction, right? Hospitals are not just helping you fight diseases and for care centers, right? They have become more outcome analytic systems, right? And same for manufacturing and every other industry. Every industry is becoming a data business today. And data without data engineers is a liability, not an asset, right? If you have a data and you want to make it an asset, you need data engineers, you need quality data engineers, you need people who can understand your systems. Why? Because raw data is messy, it is unreliable, right? uh, slow data may destroy the opportunity that you may have, right? Unsecured data will destroy your reputation, right? So someone has to design system that prevents this entire chaos, and that is your data engineer, right? Now there are several other questions also that you may have, right? For example, why Azure, right? So what you see on your screen is actually an analysis, right? It's an analysis of the job postings on various job platforms by 365 Analytics. And what they found was that almost 75% of the jobs mentioned the term Azure, right? Now, some of you may ask that, I know personally that AWS is bigger than Azure. And I totally agree with you, right? AWS's market share is around 32%, whereas Azure currently sits at 26-27%. But Azure has a much higher growth rate, right? Very soon, Azure is going to take over AWS. And when it comes to data services, right? Since many of the organizations are using Microsoft-based products for their data management and their data assets, right? Microsoft Azure is their preferred choice, to work with their data. Correct. So this is one of the reason as to why Azure. The other reason is also in the keywords that were mentioned, right? So in terms of the cloud skills, many wanted Azure. Some wanted AWS, some wanted GCP, Docker, Kubernetes. Salesforce negligible, right? But in terms of skills also, what skills a data engineer should have, right? SQL, everybody should know. You cannot be a data engineer or a data analyst without knowing SQL, right? So 80%, Azure 75%, ETL 56%, Spark, Data Lake, right? These are the things that we are going to cover. So therefore, it becomes very important for you to understand all of these terms, right? Now, why Azure? Why data engineering also, becomes a very relevant question, right? People often ask, why is data engineering everywhere now, right? It did not suddenly appear, right? Earlier, data volumes were smaller, systems were more centralized, and failures were also manageable, right? And analytics also was an optional thing. Not everybody was into analytics, not everybody was making data driven decisions, right? But today, data is massive and continuous. Systems run 24/7. Failures spread, immediately. AI depends on very clean data, right? Today, everybody is talking about AI. But how and where is AI going to get the data from? Any idea? From the data engineers, right? So organizations, they did not create data engineering as a trend. They discovered that they needed data engineers to survive. All right. And why the cloud became the only option? See, once organization accepted that data flow mattered, then came another realization. Right? Why? We cannot do it in the on-premise anymore. What is an on-premise environment? So you call it private cloud also, you call it on-premise cloud also, on-premise environment also. That is when an organization or a company builds itself a data center within its office or wherever they are. Let's say your office has a dedicated building as a data center, right? And your organization is responsible to manage it, they're responsible to operate it, right? That is called as an on-premises data center, right? That means your own data center. It belongs to you. So the companies realized that we cannot solely rely on these on-premise data center. Why? Because scaling was a problem, right? You could only scale up to a limit, right? You could not increase the size of the building overnight. And also it was costly, right? You needed a lot of hardware and it was a time-taking process also. Costs, as I said, was unpredictable. Maintenance was heavy. When you were running a big data center, you need people to run it, right? To maintain it and to administer it as well, right? So this is where cloud platforms, became essential, and we'll talk about it. And among the cloud platforms, Azure became, a natural choice for many enterprises, right? It's not just the hype that resulted in, Azure becoming the preferred choice. It's because it integrates, with the enterprise identity. It supports compliance. It connects data analytics and AI and reporting together, right? It scales without redesigning everything. So Azure is not just infrastructure, it's complete data engineering ecosystem that it offers, right? So another reason, if you see, right, first of all, this one, the slide that you see on your screen here, right? Now, if you see the average growth predicted, for the market from 25 to 33 is almost at around 18% currently, right? Obviously, it's going to increase, but it sits at 18%. The data engineering market, which is, by last year, by 2025, was at almost 90 billion US dollars, is expected to reach 325 billion US dollars by 2033, right? So you can understand the kind of requirement that is going to come from this particular sector, the kind of engineers they're going to look for, the kind of resources that they're going to look for, right? Because every organization, today or tomorrow, they will require data engineers when they, whatever product they are creating, whatever resource they're creating, there will always be a requirement for a data engineer there. All right. So what you see here is the growth that is, projected at around 18%. And the reality of this growth, measured, you know, is what you see over here. One second. The Data Engineering Industry Report of 2025. The growth that was captured was around 23%. 3,000 plus companies are in the database that are using, the data engineering solutions. And the number of employees, the number of associates around the world, they grew by around 20,000. All right. And in India also, right? If you see the growth, global growth is what India will also experience because, we are the IT capital. We have a really good infrastructure here. We have a lot of upcoming data centers also in India, right? Uh, Now, to explain to people over here who are not familiar with data engineering, right? There's a case study how Netflix solves the business problem that they had using data engineering. So it's a very beautiful story. The problem was that Netflix started, as a DVD rental company, and over time they shifted to online streaming, and they expanded globally. And as the numbers of users and the content grew, Netflix started facing some serious challenges. All right. And those challenges could not have been solved by traditional systems or manual decision making. The first major problem was, they called it content overloading. They had thousands of movies and TV shows, and users often, spent more time browsing than watching, right? So when users could not find something that they liked, so, that may have happened with some of us as well, watching Netflix or any other streaming platform, even YouTube for that matter, right? That we sometimes are not able to find, the relevant content that we want to see, right? The second was the customer churn, right? So Netflix runs on a subscription model. If users do not feel the value of money, they cancel the subscription, right? Like any other subscription that you see today. Even a small increase in cancellation could, sometimes lead to a massive revenue loss, right? Because it operates on a very large scale. The third problem was lack of visibility of what users were doing, right? The behavior of the users. Netflix needed to understand what users are watching, when they stop watching it, why are they stopping or abandoning shows, which content works in which country, how the taste of the user changes over time. So they had to answer all of these questions because without understanding these problems, Netflix, would make a decision blindly, right? So therefore, Netflix was drowning in data. It had a lot of data, but it had no insight into that data, right? So to save their business, They wanted to implement something that would help them. So they started with capturing the user data. The solution involved, they started capturing detailed user interaction data. They would, monitor each and every action that you perform on their website. All right. You press the play button, you press the pause button, stop, search, scroll, rewind, fast forward, device change, whatever you do, Netflix is recording it. All right. And these events are generated continuously from millions of devices worldwide. And data engineers within Netflix, they designed a system to ingest this data. All right. Ingest this data reliably without, impacting user experience. And then they built some data pipelines. Once this data was captured, they needed pipelines to move the data from the source to a centralized system, right? They created a centralized data platform also, you know, which we refer to as a data lake, where the raw data would come and sit. Then they did data cleaning, data transformation, data enrichment, and they started analytics. Once reliable data set was ready, they enabled analytics and machine learning teams to consume this data easily, right? So data engineers created these tables, featured data sets, historical snapshots, and they powered the recommendation system with this, so that now we get relevant content. So you would have seen, you get suggestion based on what you have already seen, whether it's on YouTube or Netflix, anywhere, right? Whatever you have a history of watching, your recommendations are also aligned with those, that particular history, right? So that is what the companies want to offer you. They want to offer you something that you like, right? So that your engagement increases. So this is also, you know an implementation of data engineering with, how Netflix saved their business, actually, in this particular scenario, right? They saved their business. So now we're done with this. What we'll do is, as Nitya already suggested, we'll have some 15 minute of class today, or let's do 5 minute of class, and then we'll take up your questions, because that is also an important part. I am sure many of you would have many doubts and questions to ask. So I'll just give you a brief on how we're going to, work it out in the class. And as I said, we'll start from the very basic. What is cloud computing, right? Now, the idea for cloud computing is, to deliver computing services to you over the internet, right? Earlier, you used to have, pen drives. We used to have those huge, memory drives or disks that we used to carry, right? Data disks, hard disks as we used to call it. Then came your Google Drive, right? What did Google Drive do? It allowed you to store something on the internet, right? What was the benefit? First of all, it was very cheap, right? They were giving you some limited amount of data free of cost. So it was cheap to store data there. Secondly, there was very less, I would say, chances of your data getting lost, right? Has it ever happened to anybody that you have lost your data on Google Drive, or Google came back to you saying that, sorry, the device that we have kept your data on, we had kept your data on, has now crashed and we cannot give you your data? No, they'll never say that also, right? Why? Because whenever they store your data, they create copies of it. They create at least 3 copies of your data, and they store it in a way that a backup is always ready. But that was not the case with your hard disks that you used to carry, right? If it used to fall, it is gone, right? It has happened with me many times. If your pen drive is lost, it is gone. If it falls, it breaks, it's gone, right? So therefore, with cloud computing, you got the same service, but with a lot of benefits, right? Benefits of backup, benefits of availability. We'll talk about these benefits in the class. What are the different benefits that cloud computing gives you? So storage is one such example. When you talk about compute, you get virtual machines. It's like your entire machine that you're working on today, and you've joined this meeting on, getting this entire machine on the cloud, right? You can connect to that machine over the internet. Another compute service would, include your container services, right? We all know about Docker containers, right? So running your containers. Compute means CPU and RAM, Any service that requires CPU, power, and memory is called as a compute resource. Virtual machine is the best example of it. Networking services. I need a firewall. I can get it over the internet. I need a virtual network over the internet, right? I can create an entire infrastructure over the internet. But is it getting created in the internet? No, it is actually getting created in a data center somewhere in the world. When I say somewhere in the world, basically you decide. When Google stores your data, they're not going to store it, on the cloud, like literally on the cloud. No, they store it in one of the data centers that they have. For example, Azure in India has three data centers: India West, India South, India Central. India South is in Chennai, India West is in Mumbai, India Central is in Pune. So, in these three locations, Microsoft has built these huge data centers. Clear? Now, moving on, see, basically, you get these services over the internet with zero human interaction. Whatever you need, analytic service such as Databricks or Spark or SQL databases. I can create a database on the internet, right? In a traditional environment, if I needed a machine, I would have had to, go to the market, purchase the hardware, bring it home, assemble it, then run it, right? Over here, with the help of Azure, you can get it within 5 minutes. You can get a machine up and running within 5 minutes and you can start using it. And we'll see it in the class also. We'll create virtual machines also. We'll create storages also, databases also. We'll create all different sort of resources. So in very simple terms, cloud computing is basically a model where you get access to resources over the internet with zero delay, right? And zero human interaction. All right, that is what cloud computing is called. Now, before cloud computing became popular, right? How did organization work before cloud computing became popular, right? That is also something that we need to understand, right? So earlier, what happened was, I'll show you once again. Earlier, every company used to have its own data center. They used to call it their data center. Every company would have it. Like, for example, Infosys will have their own data center. TCS will have their own data center. Some other company would have their own data center. So every company was building their data centers, right? When these companies build their own data center, right? So they would be creating a building or a space within their office campus, and this space would house all the servers, all the hardware, right? Everything that you see, servers, hardware, everything that goes inside the data center, the company had to buy it, right? Then one day, what happened was, and I'm telling you this as an example, let's say Microsoft came to Bangalore, right? What Microsoft did was they created a huge data center, all right? So they created a huge data center, and what they realized was over time that they were only using some, let's say, 20% of this data center, right? Remaining 80% of this data center was empty, unused. So what they said, what do you do with unused space? For example, if you built a house for yourself, which has, let's say, ground floor, first floor, second floor, and third floor, and you can, easily live on the ground floor. What do you do with the first, second, and third floor? Anyone?
Rent
If
out.
you have,
You rent out.
you rent it out, right? Absolutely correct. You rent it out. And that is exactly what Microsoft also did here. They said that we'll rent out this space. So anybody who needs infrastructure but does not want to spend money on it, right? Especially new businesses. If you see any new startup when they're starting out and they need a good, compute infrastructure, they will not have the resources to create a data center. It's a very expensive resource. All right. Don't think data centers could be built in lakhs. All right. They take almost crores to build. 5 million, 2 million, $3 million it takes to build, a decent sized data center. Because So much of hardware goes into it, so much of expertise goes into it, right? So it's difficult to build a data center. And then on top of building it, you have to manage it also, right? So Microsoft said, we'll rent it out, and anybody who needs a data center or who needs, let's say, servers or a storage device or wants to run some analytics on the data that they have, they can use our servers for that, right? And this is how we moved from, which earlier was called as the private cloud, we moved to something now called as a public cloud. All right. So your AWS, Azure, GCP, these are all examples of public cloud. Private cloud, you will still see with mostly banks, right? Banks generally tend to keep the private cloud. You'll see it with the research organizations, right? Defense organizations. Why? Because there is a general trend that they don't believe that the cloud is a safe place, even though it is one of the most safest place on the earth, right? Cloud can be made, or you can make the cloud environment so safe, by doing the correct configurations, by not having a public IP address, by putting it behind a firewall, right? By using a lot of different tools such as Defender for cloud and all those things, Sentinel. So you can make cloud a very safe place, right? But then again, there's a emotion that they have that cloud is not or anything outside our boundaries, it's not safe, right? Bank lockers are safe, but sometimes people don't believe it, right? So they tend to keep their valuables within their home itself, which may not be the safer version, but then they believe it is safe, right? So something same in this scenario as well. So this is called as public cloud and a private cloud. Public is when I am renting out a space on somebody else's infrastructure. Private is I have my own infrastructure. But what about company like Infosys? Now, Infosys back in the day, they had their private cloud, right? They had built these data centers, and then eventually they moved to public cloud also. Due to client requirements and a lot of other things, they moved to public cloud also. So does that mean that they get rid of their private cloud? No, they'll not. Why? Because a lot of investment has gone into building these data centers. You cannot just throw it away. All right. These data centers cannot be just thrown away. So what did they do? They continue to use their private data centers, and they're also on public data centers. So something which is both private and public, or companies that are using both private and public cloud, they are called as, you term them as hybrid cloud. All right. So now if you see, this will make more sense now. Private cloud is where organizations create a cloud environment within their data center. That is, they have their own data centers, and the organization is solely responsible for operating the services that they are providing. All right. And only the employees of that organization will have access to that data center. I cannot access some other company's data center, right? If I'm their employee, when I'm within the campus, I can connect to it. If I'm outside the campus, I can connect it to it through a VPN, right? So that is called as a private cloud, also called as your on-premises cloud. Private cloud, it is also called as on-premises environment. Next is public cloud, because these are owned by CSPs or cloud service providers. All right. AWS, Azure, GCP, these are all several cloud service providers that you have. Yeah, somebody was saying something. Yeah. All right. So with these cloud service providers, you can access the services over the internet. You don't have to actually own anything. You're just paying a rent, right? Because you can only rent out a space. I cannot go and buy some servers on Azure. It will always be a strictly rental business. They will never change that. All right. They'll never give you the ownership. You will always be a tenant, right? Clear? That is public cloud. Organization would have both, right? When they have a public cloud also and they have their own data centers also, we call it as a hybrid cloud environment, all right, or a hybrid environment. So for today, we stop here, and we're now open to all of your questions. So if you have any questions, please go ahead, and I'll be taking up those questions. related to the sessions, related to the
Yeah,
topics that we are covering, anything.
yeah. Hi, Shreyas. This Manju here.
Hi.
I was just trying to understand a few. I have a few notes, in fact. I'm kind of coming from the data reporting side from Power BI, and mainly on the reporting side, actually. So, how would you suggest going with the snowflakes and then again add on with the Azure data engineering, or Azure data engineering just enough to go ahead with the current market trend?
Right. So you're coming from a data reporting side. So I would say at least the L part in the ETL, you already have some idea about it, right?
Uh-huh.
Uh, See, uh, absolutely. For professionals on the data reporting side, learning data engineering is it's not only good, right? But it's also a very strategic step, right? Because then you can display your expertise in an end-to-end scenario, right? What do we call it as an end-to-end scenario? You start working with the raw data, right? You first of all fetch the raw data, you transform it, and then you load it to, let's say, a warehouse in somewhere, and then you do reporting based on that data, right? So even in our project that we are going to cover, this is Power BI and everything is already included, right? Because you should be able to understand how to come, integrate these tools together. All right. So if
Yeah.
you have any experience with data, whether it's as a tester or as an analyst or working in the reporting, you are already aware of what the problems or the challenges are, and for each step you will understand the journey. All right.
Okay.
So it'll make sense to you.
Okay, thank you. One more question. Since
Mhm.
actually I also overread somewhere like Power BI is going to go away and everything is going to be happening only in Azure going forward. Is that true?
I don't think so. All
Okay,
right, because see, even from Azure, we generally connect to Power BI for reporting purpose. All right, there's no, I would say, service present within Azure, that helps you with reporting like that.
so they were mentioning it will be replaced by Microsoft Fabric.
Uh, Fabric has connectivity with Power BI. I don't think it is trying to replace it.
Okay, got it. Okay, one more question. If no, I mean, if people doesn't know any technology, they just blindly coming in. For example, you take an intern, like a graduate student. If you wanted them to kind of start their career, what would you suggest? Just go with SQL and Azure Data Engineering would be a platform, or do they have to learn anything else before they come in here?
For this particular class, only
Yeah.
SQL is something that I want everybody to know. You all we'll be using it in the class. That is why. All right.
Okay.
So from I think the first week itself, we'll be starting with SQL, and it is a kind of a prerequisite. But it's not very hard, I guess. If you spend some 5, 6, 7 hours on SQL, you'll get at least to the basic or the beginner level, right? Where things starts making sense to you. So that
Okay.
kind of
Got it.
SQL understanding is required. Rest, how would I suggest you to start your career? See, uh, I can talk to you about being a data engineer. Once you complete this course, once you go through all of these particular topics and you've done it properly, you've done it with the hands-on, you're practicing it, you're reading more about it, right? Because if I just go and start teaching, let's say data factory, then I can go on for some, 80, 90 hours for data factory. Correct?
Got it.
If you're teaching somebody Python, you can teach them for 100 hours, right?
Got
But
it.
many people, they generally learn it in 10, 20, 15 hours, right? So that is where they have to, uh, put some effort on their own as well, right? You have to generate some questions in your mind, right? If I have told you something, why is it the only option? What other options are available? What other things that we can do to achieve the same result? Until you have that curiosity, right? I cannot cover, let's say if there are 1,000 different cases, we'll not cover 1,000 different cases here, right? We'll be trying to understand the service on the whole. We are going to see some of the complex workings of those services, but that learning, has to really happen from your side, both in the class, during the hands-on, and when you're, doing some kind of a research work on your own.
Got it. Sure. Thank you. I appreciate your answer.
Yeah, others. You know,
Hi, Shreys. Can you hear me? Santosh here.
Yeah, yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. So, see, I was a data developer, okay, long back,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
I think since 2016, right? So I haven't worked much on coding. I've moved into project management, delivery, Scrum, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So how this course will be helpful for me? Because we are currently working on RDBMS now, and we are also moving into Hadoop. But how it will actually helpful for me?
See, it's about where the industry is headed today, right? And trust me when I say that eventually everything moves to a cloud, and when it moves to a cloud, it becomes important for you to understand the cloud itself, right? So sooner or later, see, for that's the same thing that people said about AI, right? Earlier, you had a luxury of choosing whether you want to learn AI or not, but today it has become mandatory for everybody. Everybody needs to understand it, right? You either work on it, you either learn it, or you become redundant over time, right? So that is also true for cloud environments. All right. If you're not using it today, maybe tomorrow there will come an
Mm.
opportunity where, since Azure is so much in demand, you will always have a possibility of moving to a career or moving to a place where, you have to understand these technologies. And if you are really into data, if you want to build your career, into it, then there's nothing better than Azure data engineering. All right, and the tools and the services that we are going to cover. Whether it is Databricks or the Azure-based tools, they're the most in-demand tools in the market today.
Great. Thanks, Shreys.
Added to that question, so he's asking about the coding management, right? Since he's from ETL background and he wants to move to this coding, this thing, right? So coding, you don't worry. There is AI will help you, will assist you how to proceed. So don't worry about the coding part. You just need the basic knowledge of Python.
Yeah. So that is also there, right? When you work with
Yes, yes,
PySpark, so one of
yeah.
the most important platform to work with PySpark today is Databricks, right? Databricks has now started coming natively with an AI agent, the assistant, right? That helps you with the coding and all. So even if you're out of touch with coding, you need to understand the concepts and you need to understand the platform itself, right? We are moving towards a time where coding is a good to have skill, but not a mandatory skill.
Yes, correct.
Right?
So
And
don't
I'm
worry
not
about
talking about a
those things.
developer. I'm talking about these data engineering tools. For a developer, coding will always be the first choice. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Please go ahead. Others, you can just unmute
Uh,
yourselves and start. Yeah.
yeah, hi, myself Pratik. So, like, I have question related to the batch. So, basically, I heard initially that there will be two batches, one in the morning, one in the evening. Is it going to be like that, or there will be one, and depending on the comfort of the majority, it will be either in the
No, there
morning
are
or in
going to
the...
be two batches.
Okay.
Yeah. I think we've started the evening batch today. The morning batch, I think, from towards the end of this week or maybe from the beginning of the next week, we'll start.
Yes, yes. Based on the majority of the people, we'll go ahead with two batches. Otherwise, the which is taking the more, then we will handle the morning or evening batches.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there
So
are
I
going to be
have...
both the batches, morning and evening both, in
Okay, so
short.
as of now, I have not purchased it. So before starting, I need to do it like, or I have some because I think it's starting from day after tomorrow, right? So
Yeah, so today and tomorrow, today was an introduction session. Tomorrow we'll dive into Azure, right? So
mm,
tomorrow is going to be a regular class that we're going to have.
mm,
And today and tomorrow it's free of cost. Day after tomorrow, as Nitya mentioned, right?
yeah.
It will be paid.
Okay, okay.
So
So I
tomorrow
need to
also you
pay.
can attend. Yeah,
Okay,
you can attend the demo class tomorrow as well. And
okay,
for payment and all, you can just get in touch with the backend team through the WhatsApp number
sure.
that they had shared with
Okay, sure. Thanks.
you.
Yeah, hi Shreyas,
Shreyas,
myself
hello.
Ganesh.
Yeah, Devshri, if you can go. I think you were speaking, or some other person. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Any one of you,
myself
please
Ganesh.
go.
Yeah,
Hi,
yeah,
Ganesh.
I have a question. So, if you will take this course, right? So, will you provide while training itself, will you provide access for that Azure services access
Hmm.
for
So to answer
practice
that, yes,
purpose?
yes. So we'll be having a complete session where I'll show you how to create a free Azure account. All right. So basically, all of you can create free accounts on Azure. It will give you a complete access of Azure, barring a few, SKUs and certain services. But most of the services, almost all of the services that we are going to work with, you'll have access to those services. The account will be valid for 30 days and it'll come with a $200 credit. All right. And you can
So,
create it multiple times. You can create three different accounts to work for 3 months for hands-on.
okay, if you are already taken those free trial account, right? In that case, how will do?
See, if you need at least a MasterCard or a Visa card, whether it's a debit card or a credit card, it does not matter. Any of these two will work. So you just need that. All right. I'm pretty sure you in your extended family, you or friends, you will have people with MasterCard and Visa card. If that is there, we are good to go. All right. They track it on the card level now. So if you have, let's say, two or
Okay,
three cards, Visa card, MasterCard, not RuPay cards, only Visa and MasterCards, you can create three different accounts.
okay, got it, Shreyas. Yeah, thanks.
Mm. Yeah.
Shreyas, do we have any self-paced courses for exactly of this course? Because I,
Yes,
Uh,
we do have.
it,
Yes, we do
yeah,
have. We do
okay.
have the self-paced course for data engineering as well.
And this, as this is the 10th batch, do we have the exactly very same content over there, or there are any differences over there?
Uh, Yes, maybe that is previous year batch. So we are going to update
Three
with,
years back.
yes,
no,
yes.
no,
Not
previous year as
3 years,
in
the
two
previous
months
year,
ago.
the 2025.
Yeah,
Acha, okay, okay.
yeah. It
Okay,
ended
20.
in
Okay,
December.
so,
We will update it soon. Maybe within this week, we'll try to update it with the very recent batch.
okay. And one more doubt actually. So, this course is regarding the data engineers. So,
Yeah.
how the data engineers and the developers or the testers are different? Actually, I am very new to this data domain. So that is my question. So, in the data engineer and data, are there any data developers or data testers?
See, uh, when you complete or when you learn the entire infrastructure, right? Um,
Okay.
just give me a second. Why is it blinking? Yeah, sorry. Is my screen visible, everyone?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. See, so as I said, right, it's not going to be limited to a single role now. Right? Data engineers and
Okay.
data testers, both of them,
Mm-hmm.
they operate, in the same data ecosystem, right? But the responsibilities, the mindset, the ownership, uh, that is where the difference is, right? One builds and runs
Okay.
the data systems, the other validates and protects them, right? But now we are moving towards a time where the person who's building these systems will also have to act as somebody who's validating and protecting it, right? So, as I said, from a tester's viewpoint, you will have a limited exposure to, how things are done, right?
Okay.
As a data
Mm-hmm.
engineer, you will be responsible of making things work, right?
Okay.
And testing and monitoring through this course also. For each services, we are going to see how do you, whether it's a data flow debug mode within Data Factory, or testing out your queries within Synapse. We'll see all of that,
Okay.
right? But not the traditional tester role. That is not
Oh,
something that we are covering. All right.
okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Hi, Bhushan here. See, actually, I'm currently working in Informatica Power Center. So I have totally 11 years of IT experience. So if I choose Azure data engineering, right? So is it if I learned only Azure Data Factory, is it enough, or because that is also ETL tool kind of in the Azure, right? So or am I need to learn everything
There's
what you
not just
mentioned?
one ETL tool, right? Within
Yeah, we
Azure, there
have.
are multiple
Correct.
tools that we are going to work with, right? And moving from Informatica Power Center to Azure Data Engineering, it's not only good, it's a very logical and a future-oriented transition also, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because your skills as somebody who understands data, right?
Mm-hmm.
You would understand ETL concepts, ELT concepts, source to target mapping, transformation, joins, aggregation, workflow orchestration, dependencies, handling, everything you already understand, right?
Correct.
Azure
Correct.
Data Engineering will use the same logical concepts, or but on a cloud native platform, that is Azure. All right. So in other words, you're not starting from zero. All right. You're changing the execution engine itself.
Okay. So since I had 11 years of experience, am I come as again a developer role, or how it will be if I learn, if I just switch it to Azure Data Engineering? Because 10 plus years means they're going with a analyst role, that manner, right? So how it would be if I switch to data engineering? Will
Then
they
that
treat it as a
depends.
developer, or how is it?
There's no hard boundary on a developer here, because generally, the role that this course aims to achieve is the data engineer role itself. All right.
Okay. Okay, I hope what I'm trying to say. See, suppose if I am at least 6 years or 7 years, right? So, like almost they'll be in the developer role. So that will, if it is since it's 10 cross, so the expectation would be the senior level and analyst kind of, right? So
Yeah,
now
I
if I
understand you.
switch,
See,
mm, mm,
what you're trying to say, I think, is to whether, as an architect, right?
correct,
As a data
correct,
architect, right?
correct.
So, yes, as I mentioned, even to achieve that architect level, you need to first go through the basics, right?
Mm-hmm.
And within data engineering, especially in Azure, right? It's not that an architect is somebody who's gonna have, a completely different skill set. It's gonna be along the same lines. Just how you, make these different tools work together. All right.
Okay. So
So as an
okay.
arch,
So if I okay, yeah, if we switch it to here, so I can achieve that architect if they're
yes,
expecting
obviously,
something like that. Okay.
obviously, you find Azure data architect roles. All right.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Or certain such roles, they will be using more or less the same services that we are going to work with, right? Whether it's a storage service or a database service or data lake, right? Those things.
Okay. Okay. Fine. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, Shreyas,
Hi,
sorry.
hi. This is Vidyasagar. I have a
Yes, hi, sir.
question regarding the schedule of these sessions.
Yeah.
Do you have like the sessions going to be start in the evening hours or in the US? I live in the US, so trying to see like a times
Yeah,
like there's a
I tell
schedule
you,
times of evenings.
so in Indian standard timing, right? IST, we'll have the session, the evening session will be from evening 8 to 9, 9:15. All right. And in the morning, it will be from 7 to 8.
So, 7 to 8.
7 to 8 a.m. IST. So you can map it with your local time.
7 to 8 IST. Okay, 7 to 8 IST is the morning hours you already have. That
Yes.
is.
Yes.
So okay, okay, that may works for me. Like then, if it is a case like that's a 7. Okay, 8:30 in my evening times. So
Yeah.
is that Zoom sessions continue with the same
Yes.
link or how
Yeah,
it
yes.
is?
Same link. Actually, for the demo sessions, we have a different link. Once you make
Mhm.
the payment from Wednesday onwards, right? We'll have a different link, I suppose, which the
Mhm.
backend team will share with you, and it'll be
Okay.
on Zoom itself. Yes.
Okay, is these are regular Monday to Friday, or do you
Yes.
have any
Monday to Friday.
weekend sessions too?
We do not have weekend session. See, maintaining the flow in weekend session becomes very tough, but both as a
Hmm.
learner, as an instructor, right? So because that 5 days of gap in between, right? It's not just a gap in terms of days. It creates a mental gap also, logical gap also, right? Sometimes people do not remember what we discussed 5 days or 6 days ago. So that is why it's not viable to have it
Okay,
on the weekends.
okay. And one more last question, like that's you are going to be covered like that's a from the basics of like that's a data engineering, or you are going to be start with the Azure and
We'll start with
Databricks.
the basic of Azure, right? Because our entire
Hmm.
data engineering is going to be based on Azure. So until and unless people understand what is Azure, right, how it works,
Okay.
they'll not be able to work with the different tools, right?
Okay.
So
So
we need to
so
get
you
you familiar with the platform itself, the Azure platform.
Azure platform and as well as Databricks and connecting to this different
Databricks
data
will come
source.
towards the end, yes. But yes, on the whole, the platform itself completely, right? So it's not just that you should be able to, create a storage account in Azure. If somebody tomorrow asks you to create a virtual machine, you should be in a position to say, okay, this is Azure platform. I have to create a virtual machine. This is how you create it, right? So basically, having a wide understanding of the entire tool, right? So that it's not something basically you understand, right? We're just
Yeah.
trying to make you aware and well versed with the platform so that in future if you have to adapt, if you have to create a new service, you're not lost, right? If somebody tomorrow tells you that a different service needs to be created, so you know what goes into creation of a service. What is the resource group, right? What is the region that you select? How do you
Yeah.
name your services? All those things should be familiar to you.
But one thing is that these all okay. Like there's how you means like as a data engineering side, most of the time like there's a developers need to be have how that is to use like there's a data ADF like there's Azure Data Factory jobs to be configured and run it, deploying like those jobs and
You'll
data
see,
transfers
I'll tell you.
are
So
those are the topics here or
yeah, everything. We are going to
like
cover
because
everything in
more than
relation
that is
to.
a deploy more than resource groups and all these
I was
infrastructure
talking about the
side like the
fundamentals, right?
fundamentals.
Uh,
Okay.
uh, so there I was talking about the fundamentals of Azure, but when we go to ADF, right, as you mentioned, correctly mentioned,
Mm.
everything from very basic activities, creating pipelines with basic activities to creating data flows, then using it in the data flow debug mode, using the windowing
Mm.
functions, everything will cover it in Data Factory. All right, different
And
types of
as well
transformations also.
as conversion of like the on-prem SSIS packages to
Uh,
deploying to the Azure Data Factory as a what is like as Azure, what is IS, integrated runtimes.
yeah,
Those
we're
will
going to do
be
that.
part of this. Okay.
You're talking about self-hosted integration runtime, right?
Salesforce. Yes,
Yes,
exactly
we're
like
going to
those.
cover it.
Those are.
Yeah.
And do you have like anything like it as a course content will help in that is any IAC kind infrastructure as code
Uh,
deployments, anything?
Infrastructure as a code, we're not covering it. I do give you
Mm,
an idea on ARM templates, but
mm,
infrastructure as a code has, more or less nothing to do with. It has a lot of things to do, but it's not a part of this curriculum,
okay.
to be
Yeah.
honest. But if you have any doubts regarding infrastructure as a code, whether it is Terraform, so I'm
Yes,
Terraform
sir.
certified as well, Terraform certified associate.
Okay.
So with respect to
That's good.
Terraform, with
Good.
ARM templates,
Means you
bicep, if you
have
have
like
any doubt.
some other resource who can help on that is a Terraform and IAC kind area, different course
Uh,
or something.
See, if you need guidance, I can discuss it with you. Yeah,
Okay. 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 That's good enough
but
for
that is
me.
not
Like
a
it is.
part of this course. Yeah,
Yeah, not part of this course, but you can
yeah, I
engage
can guide you.
in case if there is a something like it is that kind of requirement. If I have like it is, I need to be learned something like it. Do you have any
No,
team member
I'll help you
or
with
you can?
Terraform for our data factory resource itself. All right, if you want to
Okay,
see how
okay,
to let's say automate the deployment of these data engineering resources, I can help you with that,
yes,
right?
okay, okay,
It's an additional knowledge that you may want to have, but generally it's not a part of data engineering course.
okay, okay. But you can suggest. Okay,
Yeah, I can help you
that's
with that.
good
Yes.
and good enough for me. Like then, yeah. Thanks. I did not join early hours, but
Mhm.
what's your name, sir?
Stress.
Okay, Shreyas. Thank you, thank you. I will register and I will catch you in this next sessions. Wednesday it will start from the Wednesday then.
Yes, yes, yes,
Yes.
yes.
Trace, I have
Perfect.
one question. I know
Yeah.
for in order to become a data architect, we need much deeper analysis, deeper knowledge in these things actually. But in order to get there, do we? I mean, I know this is the first step, and do we need to have another training in order to get there, or depth knowledge of whatever we're doing it here would be sufficient?
See, another training is not required if you're fully focused in the class. And as I said, right, if we are spending, let's say, 10 hours on a topic, and then you spend 20 hours on that topic on your own as well, then there is not going to be any problem. All right. You'll do end-to-end coverage of everything which is important, whether it is in data factory or whether it is in data bricks or whether it is in stream analytics. We'll be covering most of the things, right? Almost, when I say most of the things, basically, obviously, we cannot cover everything in 40 hours, right? But the important things, the 80% of it, the 85, 90% of it, we are going to cover in the class itself. All right.
Okay, good. Got it. Thank you. And one last question from my side is regarding certification, right? So, again, you as you rightly told, like we have to go in deep to get it. I think whenever you have like anything, any list of certification, with if you can share me the list of certification we can do after this, that would be helpful.
Yes, there are a few that you can do, right? The complete one that was DP203 from Microsoft has been discontinued now. All right.
Okay.
So that is not available, but other certifications you can do. All right. Even the Databricks certification, right? You can prepare for it with the kind of understanding that we're going to have on Databricks.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
Hey, hi. I'm mainly looking for the data bricks. I'm mainly focusing on the data bricks and the PySpark, especially with Scala.
Yeah.
So this course, at what level this is going to be covered for data bricks and the PySpark?
PySpark from beginners to expert level will do. Databricks from beginners to expert level will do. Within
Okay.
Databricks, we are going to cover each and every topic, but not machine learning. All right. Machine learning and AI is not a part of this course, if that is what you're looking for. But apart from that, Lakeflow declarative pipeline, Lakeflow jobs, your compute, your the delta tables that you create, the databases that you create, Unity catalog in depth. We are going to cover all of that.
So we are going to cover the medallion architecture or
Medallion architecture as
what
well.
we're
Yeah,
creating.
but see,
Fabric.
the Databricks entire discussion, it's only going to use medallion architecture. Even the project that we are going to implement, right?
Yes.
That will implement the medallion architecture.
But in the browser, like what I have seen in the NIC, the browser for the data bricks and here for the data engineering is totally
It is not
different from
updated.
data bricks.
The brochure for Databricks is not updated.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like what I'm expecting, I can say complete here in this is a data engineering session.
Yeah.
Okay. One more thing is like this credential part, like when I'm trying to work for this using the free account, this Databricks is not accepting me. Like this is sending me the fee for
I'll
this.
show you. I'll show you how you can create. There are two ways of working with Databricks. One is to create a community edition account, and the other one you can create through the free Azure account. Both of it should work. If it is not working, we'll sit and resolve the issue.
Okay. This Scala also, like you're going to cover this part,
No,
like
Scala we are not covering. We are only covering PySpark.
Python.
Scala is not in demand also that much. You may have the requirement in a particular project, but
Yes.
the
Yeah.
requirement and the demand is only for PySpark.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Currently, I'm working with PySpark, but I just want to make sure that I can have hands-on on the Scala.
Some of the code will be working in PySpark and Scala both, right? I can help you with the conversion of code into Scala so that you are working on that particular thing. But mostly we'll be working with PySpark only in this entire course.
Okay. Okay.
Right. Some of the
Okay.
examples with Scala we'll see, but it's not going to be the primary language that we're going to use.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
Hi, Shreyash. I will not take much time.
No, it's fine. You take much time.
Yeah. So, so actually, my name is Ankush. I think it's my wife's account, so it might be showing Devshri. So basically, I already spoke to I think Nitya or someone from the team, and I explained the current situation as well of mine. So basically, I have 16 years of experience into the BI and data warehousing. and mostly I am from the reporting background. So I have worked on like micro strategy, Power BI, ClickSense, Tableau, and all. And in terms of databases, I have a good understanding of SQL and not very good, but yes, at least exposure to Snowflake. And but currently I have been laid off because of some organizational changes in my current organization. So I was looking for some courses like which can obviously get me a job, and also in terms of the career progression, I'm not sure like I have been going to be hired as a developer or an engineer, because I feel like being 16 years into IT, people might be, or companies might be expecting me to work as an architect. It could be data, it could be solution architect, and I'm not sure about the hands-on. So maybe if you can give me some idea about it, like obviously this course I understand, I already did my analysis, so I'm sure that this course is going to be very helpful for me. But again, as you are talking about the hands-ons, so should I go for those that much deeper into the hands-on side, or should I keep my knowledge only at the architectural level, or do you have any separate course which is just provide the architectural knowledge rather than the like deep dive or like making hands dirty into these technologies? So maybe you can give me some ideas on that.
Right.
I'm sure, Vishesh, my
Your
scenario and question and understanding is clear to you.
No, no, that is what I'm saying. You have a very complex situation here. Yeah, so see, first of all, uh, from your history, right, the kind of experience that you have had, right, with 16 years of experience in BI, data warehousing, databases, and all, right, uh, transitioning to Azure data engineering, uh, it is good, right, because you're transitioning into something that has a lot of demand, right? A lot of jobs are there. So that is, to your benefit. But when I say, at 16 plus years of experience, right? Uh, at least you should not be trying to become, as we call it, as a junior data engineer, right? You need to have, and you clearly mentioned that architectural background also, right? So deep
Yeah.
understanding of business data, models, performance, experience of owning the entire system, right? Not just writing queries. So recruiters will automatically, assume that seniority. And if you apply to a role, that simply labeled as a data engineer, expectations, as you said, may, be unclear or misaligned. So which data engineering role matches, right, the seniority that you have. So we have various roles for that also. If you see a senior data engineer role, they will sometimes mention work experience to be 10 to 15 years, right? So that, I think, should be your best primary target. That's the sweet spot, as you call it, right? You are expected to design pipelines, not just build tasks. You're expected to make architectural decisions as a part of the role, right? Not the entire burden, but yes. So hands-on work is still respected. Leadership in technical terms is expected, right? And not in terms of the organizational politics, but the technical leadership should be there, right? So I guess it's your call then, right? Because
No, so basically, what I was thinking, because like in just these 2 months or 3 months, if I tell the other company that I'm a data engineer, I know these concepts. So obviously, the
definitely,
practical knowledge.
the more technologies and tech stacks that you add, right, it helps your scenario, right? Data engineering is good for you. You should not downgrade yourself. That would be my advice, right?
Mhm.
Target for senior or lead data engineering roles itself. Architect, comes naturally, not on day one, right? So
I mean,
Maybe
I just have
I'm
one thought here. I mean, just correct me if I mean, because I'm sailing in the same boat as him, so I thought I'll just bring it
yeah,
up. See, I have almost 20 years of experience. out of which like I have I had my own company back in India as a technical director, and I was working and taking care of my own things actually. But when I have to move back to US last year, and I downgraded myself because of as a technical lead. The reason is like if you're just going as a technical director, your options are very limited because of the number of one is technology upgrade. Again, just as we are moving up, our positions are limited. So I thought like moving down put me, it doesn't make me any down actually, but I'm just got into a technical lead role so that I can perform better in the new technology. Is that approach is right or
Exactly.
wrong?
Yeah. So see, that is what I'm saying, right? For the professionals with 15, 20 years of experience, learning data engineering is first of all absolutely worth it, right? Learning new platforms, new tools, but the approach should be for a evolution of senior capability, not as a reskilling exercise or a junior reskilling exercise, as you call it, right? The value for you is not learning the tools, right? The value for you is in modernizing how your experience is applied here, right? So you come with a hefty experience, but how does Azure changes that, right? So that is something, first of all, you will have to understand what Azure is, what these tools are, how they work together, and definitely it's going to help you.
Okay.
Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right?
Thanks.
To add at that Dev question, I can give you some input. See, I do not know whether which platform you are work already you have knowledge, but you can easily switch to the new technology which is Azure, because this have a lot of opportunities. So again, you are doing the same thing, ETL and other cloud databases. So you are here you are learning new pathway, like there you have different technology, different platform, and their process is different. And this is Azure platform, you are learning the process, that's it. For that you need just experience, hands-on experience. If you know hands-on from here, you will have lot of opportunities for Azure, so definitely this will help you more.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is like, sorry, Santosh here again, Shreyas. So this is like
Yeah.
40 days, right? If I'm not wrong.
It
And
is a
only after
minimum of
which,
40 days. I'm saying a
okay,
minimum of 40 days. You can go to 45 days also. We do I do
okay,
not put any limit on that. It totally
mm,
depends on how the class is flowing, right? As I
okay,
mentioned in the beginning itself, sometimes we'll have people in the class who ask a lot of questions, and that is completely fine by me, right? So that adds to the duration, but it's a good practice. So anybody who's joining, anybody who's looking to join, please make sure that you come to be a part of an interactive session, not just a silent listener.
great. And usually like the hands-on will happen after 40 days, is it?
No. Hands-on
No.
will start from first week onwards.
Okay, okay, great.
I have sorry, I have one more question regarding the trial account, right? Do I have to use one email ID, one credit card, one account, or I can create multiple account like a Snowflake
Multiple you
where
can
I can
create.
keep renewing?
The only thing is, from one single card, you cannot create another account. You can create multiple email IDs and you can use multiple cards. It does not matter whether it's a debit card or a credit card. It has to be either a Visa or a MasterCard. That works.
Got got
Yeah. So with one card, $200 worth of credit valid for 30 days. Yeah.
American Express is not going to work.
If it's a Visa card, it will work. I'm not sure how American Express works. I don't have one. Uh,
Oh,
is it a different one than the MasterCard and the Visa card?
okay.
Great. And in case if you're not able to attend any of these sessions, right? So do
Yeah. So
for,
each day's
as-
session is recorded and uploaded to our LMS portal. So
okay,
in the beginning, what you were seeing was our LMS portal. Every day's recording, along with the documents and the labs exercises, will be uploaded to that LMS portal. So before coming to the next class, you can go through the recorded lecture.
okay, okay, great. And do we need to install anything on our
Shares,
laptop for this? Sorry.
Yeah. Could you repeat once again?
Do we need to install anything on the laptop?
No, not required.
Not required. So we can use everything on the
We'll
platform
be
itself, is it?
completely working on the cloud. Yes.
Okay, okay. Because I
Shares.
have a MacBook, so that does it work, right? It does work.
You have a MacBook.
Yeah,
It works. No problem.
no problem, right? Okay, thanks.
No.
Sorry.
Yeah, the payment is going, it is Indian rupees wise or whether we can pay from the US by using
The
this
payment
cards.
for this course, you're saying?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, you please try to pay through our website. If it is not possible through American card, so please reach us. I will help you to proceed with that.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
You can reach out using the WhatsApp number.
Yes, sure.
Yeah.
So at the end of the course, you are going to provide two end-to-end projects and with the
Yes,
mock
two
interviews,
end-to-end projects.
right?
Yes,
So
mock
end-to-end.
interviews, and we have the topic-wise questionnaires available. End-to-end projects will be there, couple of them. One will focus more on the batch data processing. The other one would be a streaming data solution, data processing solution. And the best part is that the problem remains the same, but we have kind of created multiple instances of the same project. For example, somebody wants it in the banking sector, right? So sometimes what people tell me that they have experience in the banking sector, somebody will say I have experience in the retail sector, right? So my project should align with that experience. So that support we give. Your current existing whatever background you want. For now, I think it is in the banking sector. If you want it to be, shifted to retail or something, I can help you with that.
Okay, my current is like oil and gas, so
Yeah, something along the same lines we can create.
okay.
The end
How
goal remains the same, what we have to implement in the project, just the problem statement and all those things change.
okay. How about the mock interviews? Like if I want to switch the company, and how you are going to help with the mock interviews?
See, mock interviews, we are going to give you topic-wise questions which have been asked. We update it, so maybe in another 2 months that we complete this course, 1.5, 2 months, you'll get the updated questions, whatever is being, currently discussed or asked in the interviews. So we try to keep it updated with all the different topics.
With mock interviews, you're helping with one-on-one, so you're taking separate time for this.
We don't have one-on-one as of now, but if you want, we can, schedule one for you.
Okay, that will be
Generally, people only demand the, frequently asked questions.
okay. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, after the training also, can we access the recordings, Ashish?
Yes, yes. During the training also, you can
How
access
many
the
days
recording.
will be available?
Your voice is breaking a bit. Could you repeat again what you said?
Yeah. How many days can we access that recordings? Is this the
Like
That is
life?
lifetime access.
lifetime access you'll get for the recordings and the documents and everything. Maybe,
Okay,
Nita, if you can show them the LMS portal, they'll get an idea.
Yeah, if you will show that thing, it will be very helpful actually.
Yes, I'm going to show them.
Yeah.
Shreyas, can you please stop the screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, Shri has one last question. Does
Yeah,
this
go ahead.
Azure Data Engineering and Databricks both are the same course?
Uh, Azure Data Engineering consists of Azure Databricks as a tool.
Okay.
So like this, you will have the LMS portal.
Yeah. So this is how once you are logged in to our website, you will have the student login. So where you can see the enrolled courses. So whatever the course you are enrolling from us, you can able to see here. So for example, this is batch 1 Azure Data Engineering. So you will have the recording, right? So it's session 1 to 10. So and then when you click on here, so you can see the recordings, and then here you can able to see the download option where you can download the materials. So when you click on that, it will redirect to the Google Drive. So it will be accessible. Those who are registering with their email ID, only those email ID can be accessible.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Even if you are registering after that, if you need any help, I can help you. No problem.
Sure. Thanks.
Yeah. So I think we'll close it here today. We were well over the time now. Tomorrow we again have the free session. The same link works. Please, I would request everybody to join in. Tomorrow we'll dive into Azure and we'll, explore more new topics. And from tomorrow, from day after tomorrow, we'll have the paid session starting. All right, so tomorrow's free class is there. Please, everybody, it's a request. Please join the free class. All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks, Srish.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much,
Shresh.
everyone, for giving your time. Thanks a lot. Thank you, Nitya.
Yes, dear. Thank you.